Ladies and gents, on to video number 2 from the Economic Collapse blog, Mr. Michael Schneider. Debt apocalypse beckons as U.S. consumer bankruptcies do something they haven't done in almost 7 years. Oh, what? They've gotten less? Markets rally? Consumer confidence rally? Consumer non-foreclosures rally? Consumer non-bankruptcies rally? No. If I'm reading you an article, it's not peachy for the most part. Not because I want it to be. I choose to focus on it. It's what's happening, it's statistics, it's numbers, and you need to know about it. And if it sucks, the news sucks, sorry about your luck. Information is information. Make a good decision based off the information. Don't go out and buy your $65,000 truck when you could buy a used truck or car. Pull the old J. Snip-4 maneuver, buy a freaking 2004 Crown Victoria X police car for $2,800 a few years ago. Been driving it ever since. Put front wheel hubs on it. That's all I've done to the damn car. We have to, everything's good. When the music's playing, everything's fine. But when the music stops, now what? And you don't want to look around seeing debt. They're going to come get the car. They're going to come get that. You don't want to deal with that. Best thing to do is get out of debt. But I would tell you one thing I would do to get in debt if I didn't have any, and that was precious metals. If I had no precious metals, I would use a credit card. Buy a nice little lump sum. I'm talking like in recent times, like right now, if I didn't have any. If it was a few years ago, well, you could have gotten by month after month buying some, or I used to put on a credit card, pay it off. Price would dip or whatever, buy it, credit card, pay the credit card off in, 3 months. But I would probably, if I was like out of debt and just didn't have any precious metals, I'd be putting a little credit card action on that, okay? When debt grows much faster than GDP for an extended period of time, it is inevitable that a good portion of that debt will start to go bad at some point. We witnessed a perfect example of this in 2008. And now it is starting to happen again. Commercial bankruptcies have been rising on a year-over-year basis since late 2015, and that is something that I've written about previously, but now consumer bankruptcies are also increasing. In fact, we have just witnessed U.S. consumer bankruptcies do something that they haven't done in nearly 7 years. The following comes from Wolf Richter from one of my other favorite sites now, wolfstreet.com. U.S. bankruptcy filings by consumers rose 5.4% in January compared to last year, 52,421, according to the American Bankruptcy Institute. Well, there's an institute for bankruptcy? Well, there's an institute for everything, isn't there? In December, they've already risen 4.5% from a year earlier. This was the first time that consumer bankruptcies increased back-to-back since 2010. However, business bankruptcies began to surge in November 2015 and continued surging on a year-over-year basis in 2016 to reach a full year total of 37,823 filings, up 26% from the prior year and the highest since 2014. Of course, consumer bankruptcies are still much lower than they were during the last financial crisis, but what this could mean is that we have reached a turning point. For years, the Federal Reserve has been encouraging reckless borrowing and spending by pushing interest rates to ultra-low levels, which is funny because credit cards are 20-something% these days. That's odd, isn't it? But anyways, unfortunately, this created an absolute enormous debt bubble, and now that debt bubble is beginning to burst. And more from Mr. Wolf Richter. The dizzying borrowing by consumers and businesses that the Fed, with its ultra-low interest rates and its infinite wisdom, has purposefully encouraged to fuel economic growth, if any, and to inflate asset prices, has caused debt to pile up. That debt is now eating up cash flows needed for other things, and this is causing pressures. Just when interest rates have begun to rise, which will make refinancing this debt more expensive and, for a rising number of consumers and businesses, impossible. And so, the legacy of this binge will haunt the economy and creditors for years to come. Despite all of the economic optimism that is out there right now, the truth is that the U.S. consumers are tapped out. If the U.S. economy truly was doing great, major retailers would not be closing hundreds of stores. Sears, Macy's, and a whole host of other big retailers are closing stores because those stores are losing money. It truly is a retail apocalypse, and this trend is not going to turn around until U.S. consumers start to become healthier financially. We also see signs of trouble in the auto sales numbers. Compared to 2016, sales were way down in January of this year. Compared to January of last year, car sales collapsed for all three U.S. automakers, and the largest Japanese automakers didn't do much better. GM, difference from last year, 21.1%. Wasn't that Back to the Future? 21.1 gigawatts, minus 21.1 gigapercent. Ford, minus 17.5. Fiat Chrysler, 35.8%. Toyota, 20%. Honda, 10.7%. And Nissan, 9%. You want to know what's amazing? Most of the export vehicle or import vehicles, one was 9% and only 10% loss compared to last year, versus our behemoths, Ford, GM, and Chrysler, 35.8%, 17.5%, 21.1%. For all automakers combined, rounded off, car sales sagged 12.2% from just a year ago. A lot of attention is given to our $20 trillion national debt, and rightly so. But a similar amount of attention should be paid to the fact that U.S. households are collectively more than $12 trillion in debt. About 2/3 of the nation is essentially living paycheck to paycheck. Most families really struggle to pay the bills from month to month. And all it would take is a major event such as a job loss or a significant illness to plunge them back into financial oblivion. In America today, we are told that the secret to success is a college education. Oh, you know my stance on college education. But most young Americans have to go deep into debt to afford such an education. As a result, most college graduates start out a life in the real world with a mountain of debt. And since many of them never find the good jobs that they were promised, repayment of that debt becomes a very big issue. In fact, the Wall Street Journal has discovered that student loan repayment rates are much worse than we are being told. Really. And they say last Friday, the Education Department released a memo saying that it had overstated student loan repayment rates at most colleges and trade schools and provided updated numbers. The new analysis shows that at more than 1,000 colleges and trade schools, or about a quarter of the total, at least half the students have defaulted or failed to pay down at least $1 on their debt within 7 years. How is that college education working out for you, for these young bucks? I did a video. I'm going to have to mention it because it's totally right to bring in here. Steve and Mike or whatever went to the same high school, graduated. They both had like $16,000 given to them by their parents each. One decided I'm going to use that towards tuition. And of course, I still got to go into debt to finish paying for school. Just not a super expensive school, average school. While the other one said, I'm going to get a job immediately, take that $16,000, put it in the stock market as retirement, and just let it go. Long story short, by the time they both retired, the college dropout, if you will, or the one who didn't go to college at all, had $300-something thousand in retirement. The smarty pants college dude had about $100,000 in retirement. So the non-college dude, because he put his $16,000 in the market, went to work right away, making average wages for a person that doesn't have college, which was in the article. They were very fair with this. Yet he retired with 3 times more money because the other guy had to also pay back his debt. And by the time he got his debt all paid off and everything else, he could start contributing more, et cetera. It was too late. Didn't matter. So that's one reason. If anybody says, Joe, should I go to college? Short answer, absolutely not. Can you get in for free somehow? Grant something, anything? Yes? Then yes, go for it. Yes, go for it. If you have to pay for it and get a student loan, I'd highly recommend you don't. And I think I got some proof that says $1.4 trillion now, roughly, in student loan debt. That is the only answer anybody needs. That's the only answer anybody needs to know, should I go to college or not? If you can't get in for free, and maybe your free means, well, my parents have money set aside. They're going to give it to me for free if I go to college. They'll pay it off. They'll pay for it in full. Again, if it's free, go for it. Kind of like me when I say, the company offers 401k. Do they offer 401k price matching? Oh, they do contribution price matching? Then go for it. They don't do it, don't go for it. Manage your own money, because you'll never be able to get out of it when you need to get out of it. Take care.